¿Qué lo que mi gente? Yo soy Ricky de Bilingüe Vlogs, and as you can see from the title, we're going to be learning the best resources to learn Cuban Spanish.
Hacer, tú eres cubano.
Esto siempre me pasa, ustedes nunca me quieren dejar tranquilo.
¿Por qué tú quieres enseñar esto? Tú no eres cubano como yo soy de La Habana.
Mi amigo, mi hacer, yo no tengo que ser cubano para enseñar cómo hablar cubano ni los mejores recursos.
Carevante, rapapén.
Okay, well, you guys know we don't use bad language here at Bilingüe Vlogs, so we're gonna get right into the video. I've done an extensive amount of research so that I can give you the best YouTube channels, Instagram accounts, TikTok accounts, podcasts, books, and also musicians that you can listen to either learn to speak Cuban Spanish or learn to understand Cuban Spanish for love, for life, for family, como tú quieras hacerlo, mi gente. You're gonna wanna make sure to stick throughout this whole video because there are different themes that we can talk about. There are different lives that we live. More than likely, I'm gonna have a Cuban Spanish resource for whatever you're doing in your life. Tú sabes, if it's professional, if it's super chill and informal, I got it for you. And all that I'm asking you to do is to interact with this video, whether it's sharing it, hyping it up, liking, or commenting, or all of the above. That really helps me out tremendously, and it lets me know that you want to see more content like this. Entonces, mi gente, well, let's get right into it. You're watching this video on YouTube most likely, so let's start with the best YouTube channels. Now, here at Bilingüe Vlogs, I do have a few Cuban Spanish videos, and guess what? I'm going to be doing a lot more because I live here in Miami. I interact with Cubans. I used to work with like a ton of Cubans when I was a flight attendant. And also I do have a decent amount of knowledge when it comes to the language. I just haven't shared it with you guys because I've been focusing on other stuff, but I want to get back to our roots here. If you're interested in speaking like a Cuban and understanding the characteristics, watch this video up here. All the resources, by the way, are going to be in the description below. So we have for YouTube, obviously Bilingüe Vlogs has some stuff, but there are some great options that we have if you want to be like just in Cuba. The first one I want to share with you is Wuara Media. Wuara Media is, you know, it's a younger channel. You know how they have those channels where everybody's in the white rooms and it's a lot of participants. Y cosas así. They have stuff like that. Right now in Dominican Republic, it's very huge, this thing called La Casa de Alofoque. It's like a 24-hour live stream for I don't know how many weeks. They have that same thing with Wuara Media. They also bring famous artists on the channel to talk. The thing is that you want to be exposed to Cuban Spanish. So if you watch Wuara Media, you can be exposed to Cuban Spanish. It's going to train your ear to understand how Cubans actually speak. And also you're going to learn some slang because it is a younger channel where they use a lot of slang that is used in Cuba. Entonces, that's literally my favorite Cuban resource of them all. Well, actually, this and number 2. So, Wuara Media is número 1, mi gente. Me encanta ese canal de YouTube. Número 2 tenemos ParodiasVenom. ParodiasVenom takes movies that are popular that we've seen already, but it dubs them. It kind of like rewrites the movie with a voiceover, but it's 100% Cuban. So it's funny, which is great. I always think it's great to use comedy to learn Spanish in general, because if you can understand the double sentido, double meaning, it clicks with you a lot better. It really shows that, dang, I really know Spanish. Entonces, you want to learn some stuff, some funny stuff, how to be funny in Cuban Spanish, and maybe sometimes how to insult somebody, or, you know, just how people talk on the daily. You're gonna see it through those movies there, through those parodias. Next we have Kristoff. Kristoff, que yo sepa, he just does, I don't want to say reactions, but I guess kind of like reactions. Yeah, he kind of reacts to stuff on YouTube, but he has the Cuban accent. We'll use some Cuban words, entonces check him out. And let me know which one of these you guys like the most. The next 3 that we're gonna mention are vloggers. 2 of them women, 1 is a male, because I always want to have that going on there. You know, women talk different than men. We all know it. Maybe you've seen a woman that say "oli" as opposed to a guy would never say "oli." Who does that? No, we don't do that. We say en Cuba, que vuelta mi ambia, or que vola hacer, algo así. You know, it ain't gonna be no "oli." That doesn't work. We have Seres de Luz, Roxy y Soy Luisi. Those 3, they go throughout their life in Cuba. It's actually really interesting because if you have never been, I've been to Cuba several times. One time on vacation, 4 days in La Habana. But if you want to see what it's like there to live under communism, and how, and just the conditions that they live in, and understand Cuban Spanish, and also get more into the culture and the daily life of the people that you're going to be interacting with if you speak Cuban Spanish, then I would say check out those channels there. Very interesting, very good stuff. You know, being there in a day of their lives. Like a lot of times they don't even have power, they don't have energy, and they document what they do when they don't have any energy, you know, any light, any electricidad, tú sabes. Entonces, check out those YouTube channels. So those are the vloggers. I found another channel called Lila Quizzes, and that one, I don't know if it's AI or not. I hear like Cuban undertones when they speak, but that one is more, it's like quizzes about Cuban history, Cuban life, Cuban things. Entonces, if you want to connect more with your culture, then I would say check them out as well. They don't show a face at all, but it's just a lot of stuff popping up on the screen, quizzes that you can take, play them with your family si tú quieres como pensar en Cuba y todo eso. There are other YouTube channels, but those are podcasts that happen to be on YouTube, so we're gonna mention those later. Well, actually, let's mention them now. The first one is Déficit de Atención. I saw a video with them. They were just chopping it up, you know, talking, having a regular normal podcast, talking about whatever. All their guests may not be Cuban, pero es bueno si tú quieres como oír el español like in conversation. You know, if you want to hear multiple people speaking Cuban Spanish at once, then I would say check it out. Remember that I was telling you that I wanted to find resources from all walks of life. So the next one will be Conversaciones en la Altura. The host is Cuban. He will interview people that are not always Cuban, but some of them are. A lot of them are actually, a decent amount of them are. And he will talk to them about how they became successful. If you like success stories, you like learning from people's experiences and how they became successful, and you want to like copy the blueprint, cosas así, that's that type of channel. You can watch that for sure. I like it a lot. I liked the interviews that I was listening to, y cosas así, and I think that it's a really great resource for those who don't just want to laugh all the time. You know, laughter is great, but I think that if you can learn how to better yourself, and you can do it in Spanish, and if you're interested in doing it in Cuban Spanish, then you can with this here. Next, we have El Pichi Films. This is from Los Pichi Boys. Los Pichi Boys, they're pretty much like a comedy duo that they used to do skits. Nowadays, the big thing is to have podcasts. Pero yeah, they just talk to people. Ellos hablan con la gente. Of course, there's gonna be some comedia because they are comediantes, but they just have genuine conversations with people. Entonces, es un buen recurso. If you wanna learn with them, check out those podcasts. Now, let's go where I spend the most of my free time, where I do doom scroll. I don't really use TikTok, I use Instagram. Maybe it's my generation. I don't know, I'm 34, so maybe it's my generation that does that, because I know my girlfriend is 30. She uses TikTok way more than Instagram, and people that are younger use TikTok too. Pero I like Instagram. Entonces, I have a lot of resources, like I said, from a lot of different walks of life, so prepárate. I'm gonna go through them, not fast, but not slow. First things first, we have Alejandro Bujan. I think he's a great resource for learning Cuban Spanish. He will have phrases, he will have words, he's right now he's doing like accent, you know, how to better your Cuban accent, cosas así. It's just very Cuban centered, Cuban Spanish centered, let me say, because a lot of things can be Cuban centered. He's very Cuban Spanish centered. I think he's really one of the top resources on Instagram for learning Cuban Spanish, like actually learning it, not just learning through hearing him talk, but teaching it to you. Entonces, but he's not a teacher, pero he's kind of a teacher, you know, so it's culture and Cuban Spanish. Next, we have one of my favorites, Real Quizzes, or her name is Yilian. She does like skits. She does skits, funny skits, real life skits desde Cuba. And she speaks hardcore Cuban Spanish. I love it. I think that you will love it too. Entonces, check her out. Check her out, mi gente. She's very active on Instagram y me encanta su contenido. Entonces, shout out to you, Yilian. También tenemos Lisa Garci. She kind of like vlogs her life, but on Instagram. Instead of doing like something like that on YouTube. I like it because I feel like it's down to earth. She doesn't speak too fast. Some people speak too fast. She doesn't speak too fast. So I think you can catch on to it. It's not necessarily that she's teaching Cuban Spanish, but she's living it and speaking it naturally, and you can catch on. You know, you're gonna wanna write things down in your Spanish Like a Native planner, which is actually sitting right there. If you don't know what that is, that's a resource that I used to learn Spanish. It didn't exist when I was learning. I made it because that's the system that I use, and I put it in planner form so that you can learn Spanish the same way. So check out the planner when you get a chance. And you can write down new phrases, new words, y cosas así from the videos that you're watching that are going to be mentioned in this video here today. If you're into artists' life, because a lot of people like to see what celebrities are up to. You want to know what celebrities to listen to in the first place. In the Cuban world, you can check out Chisme con Flo Noticias. He goes into what they're going through as artists. Some artists have beef, some artists are doing this next, doing that next, whatever is going on. Es el chisme, lo que está pasando. Entonces, check him out. Ahora, el reparto es un género de música súper popular en Cuba ahora mismo, mi gente. Entonces, there are some accounts that have dance tutorials and things of that sort. So I'm gonna give you two. One of them is just the dances themselves. There's not really any talking. The other one is a dancer who does do talking, and some of them are really funny when he gives you the instructions of like how to learn this dance. So some of these reparto accounts are...
Oye, WhatsApp.
Pero ¿cuál es tu tema conmigo?
No se dice reparto. Los cubanos decimos reparto. Ok. Reparto. No reparto.
Ya. Yo estoy enseñando ya. The first one is going to be repa movimiento, and those are just the dances themselves, but we're not gonna talk about that much. The next one is Jonathan Pino, and I like him because he's hilarious. He does a lot of dancing, but he also does a lot of talking, and I think that you can learn about dancing in Cuban Spanish, tu reparto. You can also just hear him talking, kind of like vlog or you know what you guys say nowadays, yapping. You can hear him yap. Yeah, I don't know these new words. The next two kind of like go around in the streets and they will talk to people, and I really like those type of videos. I think they're natural. People just living their lives y cosas así. We're gonna have Freddy King Flow and also JJ96. JJ96 is muy interesante because he just goes through giving women flowers and having them pull like you know, draw a theme, and they gotta like act it out. So I think this is good because a lot of it is like, you know, act like you're my toxic girlfriend who's jealous, or act like I'm your boyfriend and I upset you in this. So you can learn how to deal with people in a relationship manner in español with that channel. You know, learn what people would normally say. Learn the questions that your girlfriend or boyfriend might ask when they're upset or when there's like some kind of conflict going on there. Entonces, es un muy buen recurso, mi gente. The best way to learn is through imitation, through experience. That's how you learn how to speak English. That's how you're gonna learn how to speak Cuban Spanish as well. So don't sleep on these resources, especially that one. I forgot to mention Leonadis. He also talks to people on the streets. Entonces, si tú quieres eso, check his channel out, check his account out as well. Es un muy buen recurso, mi gente. Next, we have some that are comedy, like I Am Haley's. She's hilarious. She does a perfect Spain accent, and then she'll contrast it with the Cuban accent because she's Cuban. Me encanta eso. También tenemos a Henry Lucho, que también es de comedia. I can't remember off the top of my head what he does, but I researched it. It's on the list, so check him out. So I told you guys that I was really trying to find different walks of life for you guys to learn from. Entonces, if you like hair, I like hair. I do my hair. You guys probably see my shorts where I'm cutting my hair and braiding my own hair, washing it, cosas así. Entonces, I like hair. I used to be I'm a self-taught barber. I started cutting one since I was 15. So I found two hair channels for you, one for the women, one for the men. The first one is Salon Odalis. And I like this one because she speaks Cuban, very Cuban, but slower. Entonces, es muy entendible. Se puede comprender con facilidad. Okay? Entonces, check her out. And then we have Poppy Braids. He be killing it. I actually want to check him out. I think he might be in Miami. And if he is, I think I want to check him out because he be hooking it up with the braids. Like, mira, el tigre un duro. Okay? Pero, there are two good Instagram accounts for hair if you're into that. Next, we have Mayvis Guerra. She's an artist, but she be talking. Like, not a music artist. She's an artist. Like, ella sabe pintar, tú sabes. Entonces, muy buen recurso allí. Next in my notes is Javi El Diamante. And I put next to his name, Nivel, o Cubano Nivel Dios. Because, yo, he speaks very Cuban, fast, heavy accent. Entonces, if you think that you know Cuban Spanish, that's your final boss.
No me mires por gusto, que me meto un tagazo hoy, puñalado por el abdomen, ya ando fome los nervios. What did he say?
Check them out just to get better at understanding Cuban Spanish. Tú sabes, mi gente. Es posible, it's possible. It just takes repetition and it takes time. Stick with the process though, and you'll get it, I promise. And the last two from Instagram are gonna be two fitness men. First one is Jeff Feet. When I first saw him, I had the audio off, and I could tell by how his mouth was moving. I'm like, Cuban. Turn the audio on. Definitely Cuban. I could tell because the looseness of the mouth. Pero buen recurso. Si te gusta el fitness, tú le llegas. Y la otra persona es El Mandad TMPH. El Mandad TMPH, found him a long time ago. Good for men. I think he has like focuses more on the stoic mindset, but also fitness y cosas así. He lives in Spain, if I'm not mistaken, but he's still Cuban and speaks very Cuban. Entonces, I love his content. I wanted to share that with you guys for a long time now. So I'm glad I'm finally doing this video to share that with you. Entonces, what other Instagram accounts do you use to learn Cuban Spanish, or have you been using that I didn't mention here? Let me know in the comments, but we're gonna continue on to TikTok, which is not gonna be as much as Instagram. As I told you, I don't spend a lot of time on TikTok, but I did find some good resources there. The first one is, forgive my language, but Carlito Rapapinga. I'm not gonna tell you what Rapapinga means, you can look it up yourself, but it's hilarious. And he talks hilarious. He talks like a garbage disposal. Like his voice, his voice sounds like that, like, oye, Carlito Rapapinga. Qué risa.
Oye, qué oscura eres. Yo soy Carlito Rapapinga.
Carlito Rapapinga, mira que ese no es nuestro puerquito, mira.
Como que es así, tú sabes. Entonces, sí, he just be going around Miami doing stuff. He lives in Hialeah. He's hilarious. When you actually catch on to what he's saying, it's hilarious. But then also just the title of his name and like the personality. Es muy gracioso ese tipo. Entonces, te lo recomiendo. And also, since we're talking about la comedia, since we're talking about funny stuff, we got two more that are pretty funny. Lynette's Storybook. She mixes English and Spanish. She's like Cubana Americana or algo así, creo que sí. Entonces, you know, she'll go through her life experiences having a Cuban mom y cosas así, and you can learn a lot of phrases and words through her, expressions que se dice en el español cubano. Entonces, check her out for sure. And then we have Kevin_DFly, and he goes around Miami being like, he has a character where he's a stereotypical Cuban, like the one from Miami, you know, con los dientes falso, con la cadena, la ropa, con todo, tú sabes. Entonces esa personalidad me gusta mucho, es muy gracioso. Recomiendo que pases por allá para ver qué es lo que está diciendo él. Sí, pero those are the ones, those are the comedy ones. Now we're going to move to other topics. So when it comes to actually learning Cuban Spanish on TikTok, you have Que Bola Pipo, and he'll give you Cuban words of the day. He'll give you Cuban expressions, but from an English standpoint. So that way it makes it a little bit easier if you're newer to the language and you wanna, it's kind of like how Bilingual Blogs teaches. We teach a lot from English. We teach Spanish from English. He gives you words that are not typical, which is what I love. I can't stand that all the resources that you have to like learn something, they give you the most common ones that everybody already knows already, like hacer it, que vola. No, he'll give you some real deal Cuban Spanish. Entonces check him out, mi gente. Tiene que seguirlo como 100% if you want to learn from English. We also have Natalie Marie Marichal, who she also is on Instagram too, but I wanted to mention her here on TikTok. And she also teaches from English a lot of the time. Stuff from Cuban culture, Cuban language y cosas así. Entonces, chequenla. Joe Torres, this guy, he's a setting similar to this. He teaches from his house. But he teaches you Cuban phrases, Cuban words, Cuban culture, cosas así. Entonces, muy buen recurso. I'll put him up there with Que Bola Pipo, but he teaches from Spanish, which I think is for those who are intermediate, advanced, and want to kind of dabble into that a little more. Then you can start there with Joe Torres, as opposed to Que Bola Pipo. But Que Bola Pipo is still great for you, even if you already are intermediate or advanced. If you like street interviews on TikTok, Creador Cubano es un muy buen recurso. He goes throughout the streets, talking to people, asking them questions, and of course, El Cubano. As mentioned before, I love hair, love giving you guys content. So there's also Camila Rivera Curly, who does hair content, but obviously she speaks Cuban Spanish and she lives in Cuba. So she does hair in Cuba, which is a little bit different than doing hair in the United States. So I think it's dope that she can do it, you know. Ella está buscándose su cuarto y me encanta eso, entonces apóyenla. Si tú quieres aprender sobre el pelo en español cubano, síguela. Also, we have Cuba Now 7, Cuba Now 7, and that's kind of like just Cuban conversations, kind of like vlog style. Entonces, pasen por allá if you want to see people like interacting. It's kind of like a Creador Cubano, but it's a woman instead of a guy, and it's a little bit of a different setting. Pero así funciona eso. Y por último tenemos Mr. Credit USA. This guy talks about finanzas. If you're in the finance world, you want to learn about money y cosas así, especialmente en Estados Unidos, but in Cuban Spanish, I recommend that you check his account out there on TikTok. Entonces, that leaves us with 2 more sections. So the next one we're gonna do is gonna be the musicians. I'm gonna start with those who don't only do reparto, because that's who I prefer. I don't wanna hear reparto 24/7, pero it is dope. I ain't gonna lie, it is dope. You guys probably have heard some of the songs on TikTok. They're energetic, dope, fun dances y cosas así.
¿Tú sabes bailar reparto?
No.
¿Y el son?
No, pero ¿y qué?
Todavía no sé por qué tú quieres enseñar esto.
Pero todavía se ven divertidos. Y yo puedo aprenderlo, solamente no he intentado hasta ahora.
Careguante. ¿Tú no puedes enseñar esto entonces?
Anyway, they're fun dances. Music is dope, but we're gonna go with people who don't only do that, and that's gonna be my #1 top favorite musician right now. I saw him here in Miami, and it's Wampi. Si tú no conoces a Wampi, tú tienes que seguir a Wampi. You can watch his interviews, you can listen to his music. I like this song called Maleante by him, and Tóxica. Here's another one. I think it's Ricaito or algo así. Anyways, makes good music. You can listen to his interviews to kind of get that Cuban accent, you know, imitate what he does. And this is what you want to do, guys. When you're watching all these videos, by the way, you want to be repeating after them as closely as possible. It's called shadowing in Spanish. Why do I not have a gringo accent in Spanish? Why did I never have a gringo accent in Spanish? Because I started off with music and also repeating what people said in español. If you repeat what they say the exact same way that they say it enough times, it's gonna become part of how you speak naturally. It's gonna become part of your accent. Entonces, si tú quieres eso, pues we have Wampi, Leniel, Sadie la niña, y there was a new girl. What's the new girl's name? Melanie Santiler. Ellos hacen como música diferente. They do reparto or reparto, más te vale, like he says. But they have other genres that they do as well, and I think that that's dope. I always think it's dope that when a country has a genre that makes them stand out, some artists choose to be true to themselves and the music they want to make. I'm always going to support that. My girlfriend is that way. She makes dope music. She has a beautiful voice, and she refuses to kind of fit the mold because she has to. Like, she doesn't have to do that, you know. Entonces, eso es buenísimo. Pero let's talk about those who do reparto. If you just follow the Planet Records Cuba/Miami on YouTube, you will find all the artists that do that type of music. Pero some names that stand out are Bebecito, El Tiger, or I don't know if it's Ya Ice or Ya Hice, pero Ya Ice Dylan or Ya Hice Dylan, Musterifa, and also El Abusador y su compañero, I forgot his name, Ray something, no sé, vas a verlo aquí, pero sí, those are people that you can listen to. Of course, you can listen to salsa or son cubano, but I'm giving you the more hip versions to listen to, so that way you can really catch the slang. But be careful, because I looked at the comments of some of these videos, and even Latinos from all over the world, they're like, couldn't understand the word, but the vibe is there, and I love it. Entonces, it's a study. You know, you gotta pull up the lyrics when you're watching or when you're listening to the songs, so that way you know what they're saying, and also write it down in your Spanish like a native player. Okay, that's how you're gonna learn. That's how you're gonna retain the words. Entonces, sí, eso es lo que tenemos para la música. And of course, there's a whole world of musicians que tú puedes escuchar. Cuba is a very musical place. It's a very beautiful place. It's a very art-filled place. Pero sí, eso es lo que tengo para ustedes ahora mismo. Entonces vamos a seguir para adelante con los libros. What can you read in Spanish to get your Cuban Spanish top tier? Let's start with the actual educational dedicated Cuban books, and then we're gonna go into actual like novels, other novels and things like that you can read. Entonces, dedicated books. We have Cuban Spanish 101. I previewed it, love the table of contents. I think it's good. Next, we have the Cuban Spanish phrase book. Another good option, especially if you want to learn the actual phrases that people use. Check it out. And by the way, all these are going to be in the description. I have an Amazon link for you guys down below, so you can get there a lot faster by just clicking on my Amazon link. And sí, estamos activos. Next one that we have, I think the last two I liked the most because of what they had to offer on the inside, which I think you'll see what I'm talking about when I show you. And like one shows more of the phonetics, and the other one, I forgot why I loved it, but I know I loved it, and that's why I put it on the list. So the names are Learn to Speak Cuban Spanish. You can take a look at it here. I'll pause. And then after that, we have the official guide to Cuban Spanish. I think that was my favorite one. That was it. That was my favorite because it goes from English to Spanish, which my mind learned Spanish that way. It made it very easy for me to learn from English to Spanish and to make things make sense in my English mind and my Spanish mind. And I think it's just great for beginners. The last two are great for beginners. Entonces, check out those books so that you can learn Cuban Spanish de verdad. Pero, what can we read? Because one of the ways that I learned so many words, that I'm still learning words to this day in English and in Spanish and Italian and Portuguese, is through reading actual novels, right? Reading actual novels. So I'm gonna give you 3 that have good Cuban slang. We're gonna go from a little bit to a lot. Not a little bit, but like a good amount to like a lot of slang. Entonces, the first one is Tres Triste Tigres. Say that 5 times fast. It is an actual tongue twister. So that one, it is from, I think, 1967, and it kind of documents how Cuba was back then, but it's very like authentic. So he's using Cuban phrases, Cuban words in the book. Next, we have Trilogía Sucia de La Habana, that has even more slang, more phrases from Cuban Spanish. I think it's about Cuba in the 90s, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember. I remember when I was researching it, I found all the info, but I can't think of it off the top of my head right now. I just remember that I put them in order from least slang to the most slang. So first one has the least slang. This next one has even more slang, and the last one's gonna have the most slang in it. And the last one is El Rey de La Habana, and they actually even made it into a movie on the screen as well. You'll see it on the screen. Pero sí, I believe it's based on a true story, algo así, or based on real events. Pero es buenísimo para aprender el español cubano. But if you don't want to read it, you can check out the 10-minute video that I'm showing you right now that is on YouTube. Pero sí, se convirtió en una película. Entonces, eso es. So, did I miss any resources? I'm sure I did. Let us know in the comments, what did you use or what are you actively using to learn Cuban Spanish? Mira mi gente, Cuban Spanish is Spanish, okay? Spanish is Spanish. A Cuban person can understand a Dominican, can understand a Mexican, can understand an Argentinian. Only thing that makes it different is the accent and la jerga, the slang, okay? And you know, some of the expressions that they use, but it's still the same language. So if you want to get deep into it, these are the very best resources that I can find for you to learn this version of Spanish. Entonces, as mentioned before, guys, if you appreciate it, interact with this video. If you want to take it further and do one-on-one classes with me, I've been in Miami for 8 years, been heavy around Cubans. I can help you learn Cuban Spanish. I have students right now who are learning it. Then make sure to sign up for classes. Allí arriba mi gente, bilingual blog Spanish classes. I would say for you, choose the Spanish in real life package so you can learn how to speak Spanish in real life, and we have enough time to do so in our sessions because it's an hour-long session. I teach a concept, we put it into practice, we use Cuban resources and Cuban music, some of the resources that you saw on the actual list today. Entonces, mi gente, eso es todo para hoy. Gracias por ver este video, que Dios me lo bendiga y nos fuimos.
Allá tú.
Te pasaste, tú te has pasado.